toenails and blistered heels, salt stains streaking down my face. Sun is beating, muscles scream, but I'm moving at my pace. Run the riot! Leave the world behind! Run the riot! You free your body and your mind!
Hey there, my friends. Welcome to another episode of the Run the Riot Podcast, coming to you again with a midweek motivation. It's not quite midweek. It's like toward the end of the week, but forgive me. It's all good. Well, you guys, most of you have heard the story when I first went out to Moab. It was, COVID year. Things were weird. We had to wear masks going into aid stations or whatever. And man, I was so physically ready. I was just ready to go. I was ready to kill it. And, it was hot. It was really hot. It was crazy hot, and got pretty dehydrated. And the electrolyte mix that they had with the race just kind of messed with me. Anyway, started puking, ended up having to drop. I had put so much time, money, effort into it. We were out there at Moab. Jen was crewing me, and I had to drop. I didn't even make it halfway. And it was pretty tough, man. It was pretty depressing, and it was hard. And when something like that happens, when you pour so much time and energy into it, you can really let it get you down. And maybe you've been there before. You ever felt like giving up, like I don't even want to run anymore. Like, to heck with this. When things don't go, like you have a plan, and things don't go according to plan, and then you got to make a decision. And what if I told you that setbacks aren't the end of the world, that they're just part of the journey? I had to come to that realization when that happened to me. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Today, we're going to talk about why setbacks, they aren't stop signs. They're actually opportunities in disguise. So, and we want to talk about how to navigate those things and how to come out stronger, because it's a reality. The first thing we just need to acknowledge that setbacks are just a reality of life. They happen to everyone. No matter how well you plan, stuff happens. Injuries, missed goals, unexpected life events. Like, for the Moab deal, I had trained with that electrolyte mix, but I wasn't anticipating the heat, and maybe I didn't train enough, and just all the things. I thought I did everything, and I learned I didn't do everything, all right? And so even the best runners face injuries or races that don't go according to plan. I mean, we see it with the pros a lot of times, man. They'll get out there. Walmsley, look at how many times he had to fail to get it right, like at UTMB. And so it's not necessarily about avoiding those setbacks. It's about how we respond to them. And like I said, it happens to everybody. I remember when I had Andy Jones-Wilkins, AJW, on the podcast, and man, I was so excited to talk to him. And one of the things that came up is that he had never had a DNF. And then I got messages because his next race, he ended up having the drop, and somebody said, you jinxed him, and somebody so experienced as him and had run so many races and had never DNF'd, and he had to deal with that, And so I heard a quote that said, smooth seas never made a skilled sailor. Smooth seas never made a skilled sailor. It's when things get rough is when you learn things, is when you learn how to navigate. You learn how to navigate tough times and stuff. And so what we have to remember is that those setbacks, those things, that they happen to everyone, but they're temporary. Man, at the time, it may feel permanent, but it's a chapter in your story. It's not the whole story. You've got to remember that. When I DNF'd at Moab, man, it was tough, and it was a setback, But I had to remind myself that, okay, this is not all there is. I have more to give, and there's more that I can do. Like, what am I going to do? What am I going to learn from this? And how am I going to move on? Okay, and how am I going to make myself stronger? Okay, so setbacks happen. And then we talked a little bit about this, the last midweek motivation, about reframing. And so we should think of those setbacks and reframe them as opportunities. Those things reveal a weakness in us or something that we need to address. They highlight an area in our life, in our running or whatever, that we need to make some improvement. So like if you miss a goal because of I had an issue with nutrition from Moab, well, I need to figure that out. Okay. It's an opportunity to refine my fueling strategy, think through what went wrong and what can I do differently for the next time. And so we have to be like Henry Ford said, failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, but this time more intelligently. I love that. I love that. We go in knowing what didn't work, And so when we have that happen to us, we learn from them, and then it can build resilience in us if we let it. Pushing through the challenges, it'll strengthen us mentally. Every tough run, even in training, we have setbacks in training where we train and man, we bonk, we bonk way early. Then we got to figure it out for our next long run. It doesn't have to be even the big race. It could be all the, just runs that we have or workouts that we have, and we can let it prepare us for the next one. And so the comeback is always stronger than the setback, because we go in, we've learned, we go in a little bit more resilient, a little stronger. And then when we come back better. And like when those things happen, I've had this happen in a few races. I've actually told Jennifer before, like, I'm done racing. I'm done with this. We just going to go on vacation now. All this running, that's come out of my mouth. Okay. So like, I don't know if that encourages you or disappoints you in me, but that has come out of my mouth. But it helps us to refocus on our purpose, like, why are we doing what we're doing? Why are we doing this crazy run? And this fits for life. Why are we doing what we're doing in life? But it reminds us why we started. Like, why do we get to the starting line of this race anyway? Why do we start this running thing anyway? And so, when I've had setbacks, Moab and others, it forces me to reconnect with my why. Like, ask the question, like, why am I doing this? Why am I chasing this goal? What am I trying to prove something to somebody else? Am I trying to prove something to myself? Like, why am I doing this? And William Ward said, adversity causes some men to break and others to break records. And so, we can kind of reset our minds and focus on the right things and just be mentally prepared for the next race. So speaking of, let's just talk about being mentally healthy. Okay. So, we talk about mental health. Well, I want to talk to you just briefly about mental wealth. Mental wealth is about investing in habits today to build your resilience for future challenges. It's like creating a mental savings account that you can withdraw when life gets tough. So real quick, there are 5 pillars to mental wealth: sleep, diet, exercise, stress management, and then exogenous compounds, things that we take. And so, I've talked before, sleep, you got to get your sleep because you've got to rest. You got to eat right, diet, not just during the race, for your life. You got to exercise. Of course, you want to run a race, you got to run. Stress management. Your body interprets all stress as stress, whether that's training or life circumstances. You got to deal with that. And then what are you taking? Your exogenous compounds. So I want to talk to you real quick about Magic Mind. Okay, Magic Mind supports these pillars without overpromising. It's just a tool to enhance your focus, number one, and then improve your sleep, just to help you move in the right direction. So I've got them right here. Look at this, Magic Mind. That's if you're watching the video. If you're on the audio, you just have to look it up. All right. So these are two different shots. All right. And one of them is to help you focus, and the other is to help you sleep. And so I've been using Magic Mind's focus shots in the afternoon after lunch. Because there's no caffeine in it. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I do drink coffee in the mornings and I don't want to drink it in the afternoon. So I use that to help get me through the afternoon after lunch. It makes a noticeable difference in my focus and my clarity. And then at night, the sleep shot, it helps me just wind down and give me just a great deep night of sleep. I highly recommend. I know some people have trouble sleeping, and man, this has really helped me just go into hibernation, man. I sleep really well and I wake up rested. And so there's all natural ingredients. You can read everything that's in there. It's good stuff. It's not all kind of craziness in there. And right now they have a special offer for the first time. It's the 24 hours pack. It's the focus, and the sleep shots. It's both of these bundled for the first time. And if you act now, you can get it for 45% off. If you go to this link, it's www.magicmind.com/RTRJAN. That stands for Run the Riot January. Magicmind.com/RTRJAN, and you get 45% off. And so, man, just Think about it. If you needing to focus and you don't want to just do all the caffeine and you want it to just be good and you want to sleep better at night, give it a shot. Give it a shot. For 2025, let's build mental resilience, improve your sleep and your clarity when you're awake. Try Magic Mind. www.magicmind.com/RTRJAN. All right. So now we're talking about how to move. When you have a setbacks happen in life, it's going to happen. You got to reframe it. You got to deal with it. And how do you move forward? How do you go from that place of disappointment and take that next step and plan ahead? And so the first thing you got to do, listen, you got to acknowledge the disappointment. It's okay to be upset after, you failed at a big goal. But it's not okay to just stay there. After Moab, man, I was disappointed. And I took some time to reflect and to deal with it and kind of lick my wounds. But then I let it light a fire under me. Vince Lombardi said, it's not whether you get knocked down, it's whether you get up. All right. And so I had to get up. And I evaluated, okay, what went wrong? Because in the middle of it, man, everything's confusing and stuff. I had to evaluate what went wrong. And for you, it might be nutrition too. It might be you overtrained. It might be you didn't prepare for the terrain, the altitude, or whatever. And then you ask the question, like, what can I do next time? And write down those lessons after every setback. One of the things I do with my runners, whether they succeed in their goals for their race or they don't, we always afterwards, okay, what went right? Let's talk about that. And then what went wrong and what would you have done differently? And those of you who heard me talk about Moab before, when I first threw up and I had all that electrolyte mix in my bladder with only a little bit of other water, I should have gone a mile backwards and dumped that electrolyte mix and filled it with water. That was one of the things I should have done. But you figure those things out and then you set a new goal. You use what you learn to set a fresh new goal. And so one of the things I did after Moab, after I licked my wounds, I was like, okay, I got to do other races. I can't just go back and do Moab right away. So I did. I went back, I got back in the saddle, started doing, other races. And I hung that Moab bib above my computer in my office at the time to remind me that I had unfinished business. And then in 2023, in October, I was able to go back to Moab. And listen, man, I went in with a fresh perspective. And I encourage you, if you hadn't listened to the podcast on it, to check it out. But I went in and I got it done. I used what I learned and I fixed my nutrition, yes, but I also fixed my attitude and got myself, just had the right frame of mind, man. I was just clicking mentally the whole race. I wasn't even in the same physical shape I was initially to when I first ran Moab, but I still got it done. And so, man, look, obstacles are those frightful things you see when you take your eyes off the goal. And so I could have been afraid of Moab, and I went into it again and I didn't fear. I just went in and I did it. And before that, I took small steps forward and just got myself ready. And I did it. So listen, guys, I want to encourage you. Maybe you're licking your wounds right now from a race, or you got one that's back that you've messed up on. Man, just go through those steps. Those setbacks aren't the end. They're the beginning of a new opportunity to grow, to refocus, and then to come back stronger. So think about that recent setback in your running or dude, in life. I don't know, maybe with your job, maybe with relationships or whatever. What did it teach you? Because we can let those things happen and not learn from them, and it's a waste. Those things can teach us and mold us into better humans, better runners, better athletes, all of the above. And so what did it teach you? And then how can you move forward? How can you use what you've learned to move forward? So guys, remember, setbacks aren't stop signs. They're the milestones on the road to becoming the strongest version of yourself. Man, let's be stronger. Let's use all the things at our disposal, even the setbacks, to become better athletes and better humans. Take care, guys. God bless. Bye-bye.